The Road to Laughtale Volume 3 has just released, and with it we have a slew of new information. But today, we're going to be discussing Yamato's character design and the different routes that Oda might have gone if this was an alternate dimension. So, first things first, the design choice as a whole. So when it comes to drawing Yamato, we know the great big bubble Yamato we have today, but in a different reality, this was the Yamato we were going to get. I really like the design choice of this, but at the same time, I can't help but looking at this version of Yamato and saying, wow, that just looks like an evil version of Toki. But apparently, in the initial design choices for Yamato, Oda once thought of adding a third eye onto Yamato, which would have been huge because that would raise so many questions. We're already wondering who Yamato's mother truly is. Is she an Oni? Is she human? Who is this mystery lady? But if Yamato did have a third eye, then, now we'd be like puzzling it, like, okay, like, did he date somebody from the Void Century? Is this a tribe that we don't know about? I think it would be absolutely insane, but I feel like the reason why he didn't want to go with the third eye is maybe he's saving that history for the Void Century, or maybe even it's because if Yamato does join the crew, then that third eye might not have much use because we have Nico Robin already who can read the poneglyphs. And also, if he gave Yamato a third eye back in Onigashima, then Kaido and Big Mom wouldn't have initially wanted to capture Nico Robin because they would have Yamato to decipher all of the poneglyphs for them. The next idea dash design I want to talk about is her weapon of choice. Originally, she was not supposed to have the kanabo that she has today. Instead, they go on and say, while Yamato now uses a weapon like Kaido's, this wasn't always the intent. Here we can see a katana being used instead. Its sharp coolness leaves a lasting impression. Could this be an attempt to be a samurai like Odin, which I would have enjoyed either way? Like, I love the fact that she uses a kanabo, but if you switched out that weapon for a sword, maybe even Odin's sword, which, granted, I can't really see Momonosuke or Hiyori or anybody else being okay with that, but if she had a supreme great sword or even an excellent great sword, I think it would be a really nice fit. But if she was, I'm gonna throw it back, devil's advocate here, but if she was going to join the crew, then would this conflict too much with Zoro and his fighting style? Even if Yamato was doing a two-sword style just like Odin, or maybe even one sword, might it be too similar? So there I can see him potentially scrapping that idea and wanting to go with a very unique weapon like Kaido's kanabo. So once Oda decided which type of weapon Yamato would wield, the next question that came up was what type of personality would she have? The Yamato we know of today is very adventurous, fun, and outgoing. She's essentially the female version of Luffy. But on the opposite end, Oda also considered having a very serious, cold, and standoffish character instead, which, while I like it, and I'm sure he would have made it work, I am really glad of the Yamato we have today. And also, I want to throw it out here, but if Oda was really trying to create a new character for the Straw Hats, which, hasn't been confirmed quite yet, then having Yamato be cold and standoffish would be very unique to the crew dynamic. But both the personality that we have today and the one that he considered previously would make really good fits within the crew dynamic. Next up, this is my favorite part right here, but we have Yamato's attack spreadsheet. Yes, these are all of Yamato's attacks that Oda has thought of and also named. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll just put a picture right here for you guys. And if you look at this picture for even a second, one thing that really stands out on this paper right here is the fact that we have not seen 25% of these attacks, if even. So that must mean that Oda is sleeping on a bed of attacks for Yamato that we will see in the future. And this is what kind of nails down the fact that Yamato is most likely going to be setting sail with Luffy, because if we left Yamato behind only for her to come back later in the story, there is no way that within one small fight that she'll get later on, that she is going to be able to utilize all of Oda's ideas here. Granted, he doesn't have to use them, But if he did want to get the most bang for his buck, then he would have her tag along with the Straw Hats, and these would all be moves we would see in the future. So moving right along, we have some really big freaking information, and I'll tie it back with their devil fruit powers in just a second. But it says right here, in some early concepts, Yamato is shown to be against identifying as a male. At one point, Yamato believed the previous shogun was evil, and Kaido did the just thing by removing him from power. This alternate scene includes dialogue about a plan to eradicate the Kozuki clan and install Yamato as shogun. And the reason why I want to tie this back to our devil fruit is because during the fight between Yamato and Kaido, he mentions that, hey, that devil fruit was not meant for you. That was meant for the guardian deity of Wano. And it all makes sense now. In an alternate reality, if Yamato was evil, if Yamato wanted to follow through with Kaido's plan and to become shogun of Wano, then this devil fruit would fit her. She would be the, evil guardian deity of Wano Kuni. So it looks like the devil fruit that Yamato has predates what Oda's early design concepts of Yamato's character arc in general was going to be. In a small excerpt, we see Yamato talking to Momonosuke, and she says, now, father intends to take Wano from Orochi and replace him with another puppet, and the surviving Kozuki clan will be eradicated, and I will be named Shogun. Like I said, in the very beginning, Oda's original idea was to always have Yamato be infatuated with Oden's story. So even though she might have originally thought that they were evil and that the Kozuki were bad, at some point her character does go through that growth of learning the true history of Wano Kuni and wanting to escape Kaido's wrath. That was always the original plan. Which it's kind of crazy to think about, because this kind of leads more credence to the fact that the guardian deity of Wano Devil Fruit was probably just meant for Yamato, since she was always supposed to be appointed shogun. Alright, so now moving on to the last couple of things I do want to talk about. But first up, it looks like Oda originally planned Yamato to be at Oden's execution, which I thought would have been a really good freaking parallel. And the reason I say this is because there were so many pirates and marines present at Roger's execution who witnessed him die and were inspired by his final words. It would have been amazing if it was the exact same for Yamato and Oden. By witnessing Oden's final moments, Yamato would be inspired by them. And even in one of these drawings here, Yamato can also be seen crying underneath her Oni mask. But the real question that comes into play is, how did she even get here? Why did Kaido bring her here? Why does she feel so many emotions for Oden if by this point she might have not read his logbook quite yet? So there's just so many questions and so many hypotheticals that Oda would have to answer to just bring Yamato here and to fulfill this parallel that he did not go through with it. Regardless, either way, her backstory as a kid is fantastic. And now the last two things I want to talk about here is simply this endless cycle, or this plot line that Oda always had in his mind. So I'll read it right here. So it always was supposed to start out with Yamato being inspired by Oden's logbook and then wanting to head out to the ocean, only to be stopped by Kaido multiple times, with Kaido yelling to her, "You're my heir," and then gets put in handcuffs, and then boom, 20-year time skip until we are here today. The reason why I enjoy Yamato's consistent plotline is because what this is telling me is that out of everything Oda could change, her design, maybe her attacks, her weapons, and etc., the plot lines that she had in Wano Kuni are immutable. They cannot be changed. They were needed for the progression of the story. She was always supposed to be inspired by Oden. She was always wanting to set sail, and she always was going to go against Kaido, her father. And this is almost like the makings of the perfect Straw Hat. If this doesn't solidify it, then maybe this final point will. And it says, after clashing with Kaido, Yamato tried countless times to sail away, with little success. we see Yamato picking up Oden's journal here. Take note of the excerpt from Yamato's own diary. And it says, "I'm gonna start keeping my own journal. I spoke to father in the flower capital today. I've been feeling a little lonely ever since he banished me, but I know this is just the start of my adventure." Holy crap, there's a lot to talk about here. So, first up, it's the fact that he said, hey, pay close attention to this excerpt. It's going to be important. So, there has to be some truth in this, or maybe something within this excerpt here that will happen in the future of the manga. And since we're nearing the end of Wano, I think one really cool scene we could see is Kaido talking to Yamato, and Yamato telling him, hey, I'm gonna leave you, I'm gonna go off on my own adventure. And Kaido's like, fine, like, I don't need you anyways. You were a lousy daughter, son, whatever he calls her. You do whatever you want. And then boom, Yamato is set free from Kaido. But she's feeling lonely. So who would she adventure with other than the Strawhats, the same pirates that she said she was gonna set sail with earlier on? And there's just so many things tying her to Luffy and the crew. She said she was lonely, and I've seen some ridiculous theories of people saying, oh, Yamato is gonna set sail by herself, which, if she's feeling lonely, why would she do that? She would want to set sail with a bunch of nakama. There's one argument that people bring up whenever debating whether or not Yamato will join the crew, and that's just, what would her role be within the Strawhats? Everybody has a role. You have a sniper, you have a swordsman, which, I wouldn't really consider a role. You have the helmsman, the carpenter, and etc. What would Yamato do? Well, it's pretty much confirmed right here that she has her own logbook and that she wants to start writing down her own adventures. That's exactly what Oden did when he went on his adventure with Roger. Granted, Oden could also read the poneglyphs, but we already have Nico Robin for that as well, so Yamato can rest easy knowing she won't have to start learning a different language. But yes, everything is here to be the perfect nakama. She fits perfectly. She'll have a conclusive ending most likely with Kaido by the end of Wano, and it's just looking really good for the Yamato fans out there. Alright, so one last thing I do want to make note of before we end this video off is the fact that Oda was struggling heavily with what to do about Yamato's gender pronouns. Was she a girl that wanted to be a guy? Was it a girl that wanted to stay a girl but also admired a guy? And you know what I mean. He did not know what to do. And that is how we ended up with the Yamato that we see today. A weird amalgamation of pronouns and genders. You have Yamato going to bath with the boys. You have certain characters viewing her as a girl. You have Luffy calling her Yama bro and etc. So it seems like Oda has found his answer by staying completely in the middle. It looks like he doesn't want to tackle it one way or another. And because of that, and because of Yamato's character as a whole, I almost want to say that Yamato might not have to give up the Oden identity for her to join the Straw Hats. Beforehand in a video, I mentioned that, hey, like if she joins, maybe she has to drop it. Maybe Luffy's gonna say, I want Yamato to join the crew. But the more I read into it and the more I learn about Yamato and Oda's standpoint and design choices with her, I almost want to say that her identifying as Oden in certain scenarios isn't necessarily a bad thing. And especially with the latest chapter of One Piece, Luffy didn't really mind that Yamato was hanging out with the boys in the bath. He was just going about it. As long as Yamato is happy, he doesn't really care. It's not like the name of Oden is really bearing down on Yamato. It's not really holding her back or restricting her from doing anything. If anything, it's making her more free and more open to do things. And at the end of the day, that's what Luffy wants for the entire world. So I can't really see him saying, hey, you need to drop this identity if you want to join my ship. But yeah, I mean, it's still up in the air. We're not there yet. We don't even know if she's going to officially join. But from the latest chapters of One Piece and the Volume 3 Road to Laughtale right here, there's so many things pointing Yamato to be an important member and the next member of the Straw Hat crew. And with that being said, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next video where we will be discussing the top segment of Volume 3, The Road to Laughtale, where we will discuss Oda's insight on Zoan Awakenings and Zoan Devil Fruits as a whole. But with that being said, y'all, thank you guys again for watching this video. It would really mean the world to me if you went down below, dropped a like, a sub, a comment. I would just really freaking appreciate it. And if you want to get in touch with me or, you know, anything beyond that, make sure to hop down below and join the Discord as well. We all just go in there. We have little chats about One Piece, any anime, and etc. And I also stream on Twitch, and the link is down below. So I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for coming in. Peace out.